Here's an overview of how Spotlight works for early December 2025. The product changes very often and new features are added every week. So this is what we have as of today. So essentially what you have here, the system at first looks for the prompts that the brand would want to appear in. It does it automatically, and the idea is to look for brands. This is an example from Nespresso in the US. So for example, a prompt here like which brands offer premium coffee capsules for home use, an espresso would want to appear in the response, the system assumes. And then the system sends that prompt to all the models and to check which brands appear in the response. And here we can see, for example, that Nespresso does appear in the response. And we can see the full response here from ChatGPT. And we can see which brands actually appeared in the response, in which order. So, for example, Nespresso appeared fourth out of 9 brands that were mentioned. We analyzed the sentiment around the mentioning of the brand. So here it was neutral. And we also collect the data sources and even the web queries that the model used behind the scenes to fetch this data, this fresh data, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So here we actually have an overview of how many of the responses our brand was present. And so here, this is here the Nespresso was present in nearly almost 98% of the responses. The average position within the response when it appeared was around third. It was mostly a positive sentiment around the mentioning of the brand, and we can see which other brands appeared alongside Nespresso. We run this weekly, so we can see the performance of Nespresso week by week. So we have this for every of these topics. Every topic has different prompts. When a user starts using the platform, we recommend that you fine-tune the topics, remove topics you care about. You can add topics that you do care about. You can remove and add prompts, and we have tools to help you align the prompts with your marketing goals. You can see that the search volume, the prompt volume here, which is an index, it's a relative index, not an absolute number. It shows you how often people have been searching for a prompt like this or prompts that share the same intent and essence in your target market in the last 2 months. So this will give you an idea of how often the prompts are being searched for. You can, when you add new prompts, you can actually have the system suggest prompts. It'll look for prompts that also have high prompt volume. And then you can add the ones that are relevant to your business to the topics. You can also we have a tool here, the prompt volume tool, where you can enter either topics, or it's even better to enter like a search, like a Google search keywords that you currently optimize for, and it'll find prompts that are related to those keywords and show you how popular they are, and you can then add them to a topic for tracking. So we have these prompts and so then all this data that you see here, the prompt volume, the presence, you can also see per model. And you can see also this data in the eyes of competition. So for example, you can go and see and add a competitor and see, or other brands, and see how they're also performing for per model and per topic. Now we also have an analysis here that shows you how you're performing in terms of a customer journey stage. I mean, what is the brand's presence per customer journey stage, awareness, consideration, etc. What's the sentiment per stage? Which other brands are dominating the responses per each one of the stages? We have more analyses that talk about the competitive landscape. How do you compare with other brands? And then the more interesting part here really is how do we actually change this? Besides monitoring, how do we actually impact the models and get our presence or get them to talk more about our brand? So what we do here, we pull all of the sources, all the data sources that the models base their responses on. And that gives you an idea of where the models are getting their information. So for example, ChatGPT is going to specifically this website, and you can see that 22 responses actually relied on content from this website, and 5 responses, and you can see actually which responses, which prompts yielded citations to this specific item here. So you can see what's actually working. You can see what's working in terms of for your own content that you've been creating. So for ChatGPT does not rely very heavily on Espresso, but other models do. So you can see which of your content is working and which of your competitors' content is working, or where you might have an opportunity to place content, or maybe have an affiliate arrangement, or maybe learn from a YouTube video that's performing well. So this is real gold here. And we also have here, this is a new section where we actually see all of the queries, all of the search keywords that the models, Perplexity and ChatGPT at the moment, what they actually typed into search in order to collect, in order to fetch data from the web in order and to respond out of like fresh content. About 70-80% of all prompts that you make, the models will then go out to the web and get fresh content from regular search, from Google or Bing. They look at the top 30 responses and they look for the most relevant content there to then cite. So this is also something that you could actually write content that's optimized to these queries, and that's another like tactic that you can take. We have another tool here that takes the content and the citations, the sources, and analyzes them. So you can analyze, for example, let's look at all the like blog posts, and then we can look at the top most cited blog posts, and we can analyze them, and then we're going to look at everything about them. What's their title, the content summary, what are the keywords there, did it have a moderate depth of content, or when was it last updated, are there author credentials, what's the structure, is there an FAQ section, how many words, letters, images, what's the hierarchy of the text, any schema markup types, links. We look at everything. We try to learn, analyze, to reverse engineer the most cited content, to try to learn which we do, how do we create a content that will be cited often. We actually have this really cool new section here, which I'll show you actually what this actually does here. You can actually see, this is actually not new, but we have another section I'll show you in a moment, that what it actually does, it looks at all of the prompts in which your brand did not appear, and then it will suggest content that will make you also address these prompts. So this is this prompt, for example, which is has a high prompt volume. This person did not appear in the response, so we then suggest content, and the new section that I'm not going to show you here because actually I'm going to launch it only tonight. But the new section is actually what it does. You'll see another button here. It actually analyzes all the data sources. All the citations, all the data sources of that are in the responses to this prompt, and then it'll show you what's working for them, or what are the shared or the patterns across those data sources, in order for you to create content that will also work, and it'll also show you suggestions for content that offers a different perspective. Because we see that the models like to cite different types of data sources, that every data source will add some value to the response. So we also suggest content that has a different perspective. So you can check that out. It's already live. It'll be live probably already today, and you'll see that cool new feature. We also have a tool that will take your existing content and analyze it, and see, how, and it'll score it, and then tell you where you can actually add more to your existing content to make it more GEO ready. If it's content factors or technical factors. And then how do we know that all this works? We track everything here. So what we look at are the citations, how often every piece of content of yours was cited by each one of the models. So for example, this piece of content, you can see that it was cited in the last run that we did here, that was yesterday. We can see that was cited 3 times, and we can see which prompts were the ones that actually yielded the citations to this piece of content. So we can actually see the performance of your content among the different models, and what is your share of the citations from the overall citations made. How much is your content actually affecting the narrative of the models? And we have this other tool here that actually connects your Google Analytics account to Spotlight, which helps us identify how much traffic is coming in to your site from different models, and from which model, and most importantly, to which website this traffic is coming into. So you can tell which of your content is actually bringing in traffic from each one of the models. And that helps us close the loop and realize what content is actually working and affecting and bringing in traffic. We have a bunch of more features. One last thing I'm going to show you here is this tool over here. This talks about not whether do you appear on AI, but when people ask about your brand, how are you perceived by the models? What is your reputation among the different models? So we have here a default of like 10 properties that we track, but you can add properties, for example, value for money. How is espresso perceived in terms of value for money? We send this prompt to all the models. We look at the response, and then our system then scores that response. And so that you can have a quick high overview. You can also see like why it scored it the way it scored it, and so it gives you like an overview of how your brand is for each one of these properties. How is it perceived by each one of the tracked models? We track all the models. This is just 5 sample models here, and then you can also add more properties that you want to track, and I'll even tell the system how you'd want to score it. I mean, what you consider a good or a bad response, so it knows how to score it. So you have a quick color-coded kind of like input here, and then you can also see this data over time, and you can also see what are the sources for these responses, so you know, I mean, who's affecting, say, for example, for say value for money. So which websites are actually affecting the responses on this topic, and then you can actually on Reddit, for example, you can go in and actually add a comment to the post there, and that will immediately actually affect the models and the next time that they're asked this kind of question. So that's kind of like maybe 30% of the product. It's a very big product. There's a lot of tools here, but just to give you like a general like a feel for what this can do for you. So I hope that was interesting for you, and reach out if you have any questions for team at getspotlight.com.